This was Harry Potter meets Jeffrey Epstein. Welcome to Shadow Daddy Groupies. I'm Raven.
And I'm Kelly. And this week we are doing Rose and Chains by Julie Soto. Let's start with a 2-minute no spoiler summary before we jump in. There's a lot to say about this book. The story opens with Bryony, a princess sending her twin brother King Rory off to fight the prophesized battle against the evil Mistress Mallow and her army. Things go terribly wrong, and Bryony and her best friend try to flee as the castle is overrun, but are caught and enslaved to be sold at an auction along with her other friends and allies. She is purchased by her childhood classmate and bully, Tovin. She goes to live with him and his parents at their estate, trying to come to terms with what her life means. Why did Tovin buy her? Where are her other friends? Is there any hope of escape? Can she help the rebellion? With strategically placed flashbacks of Bryony and Tovin in magic school together, Julie Soto has weaved a unique and dark story with high tension and yearning. Book 2 is set to come out next year. Check your trigger warnings. Raven, take them away.
Of your trigger warnings include sexual content and assault, trafficking and slavery, abuse and misogyny, forced sterilization and abortion, violence, torture, and gore, and death of a minor characters. So, and all of those will probably be discussed in this. So, think before you read and think before you listen.
Good point. Did you cry? Did you cry?
No.
You didn't cry when the strawberry blonde girl died with her brother? Where is your heart?
That was very sad. That was sad. I will admit that was really sad, but it didn't.
Oh, I bawled. I was like, oh my god, strawberry blonde. I don't even know your name.
I mean, that was a pretty gruesome way to go.
It was awful.
So I'm gonna do a reread. I'm gonna judge this again, but I'm gonna give it 3 stars.
Wow, I'm giving this 6 stars. I'm 7 stars. I'm evening out the score because I loved it so much. I love this book. It was everything that I love the writing style. And one of my favorite things about this was the way that she would have the characters in the present, sprinkle something in, go back later in the book in a flashback and go over that thing, and then flash back to the present and then talk about how that interaction has now come to fruition. And you know, and it was, to me, I just felt like all of the Easter eggs were just amazing. I loved how she weaved it in and out, going back and forth. You know, you have this tension between them that doesn't...
A+ for the tension.
That doesn't quite make sense until she does the flashbacks, and then you're like, okay, well, they had a little crush. Oh, wait, they had this other thing going on. Oh, wait. You know, I don't know. I just loved the yearning. I loved the tension. You had mentioned that in one review that he basically didn't want to touch her, didn't want to have sex with her, and the insinuation is that he feels very uncomfortable with the power dynamic between them. And there are some bad reviews out there. There's a lot of 1-star reviews. This is, you know, a dark romance. It may not be a dark romance. It may be a very, like, dip your toe in the pond dark romance, but it has dark elements. The slave thing is dark, and
There's
she
some dark
doesn't get
stuff.
treated well. She gets treated fairly well, right? She has a good slave owner. But her other characters, her other friends, her allies, they do not get treated well. There's a lot of SA, there's a lot of grape. It's dark romance all over the place. It
Yeah.
says it in the trigger warnings. If you are not okay with those trigger warnings, you shouldn't have read the book.
Yeah, I will say this book, the cover of it is very pretty. And I
Yeah.
feel like that could be a little misleading when people are buying it now that I'm thinking about it. Um,
She does
because
have a collar on. I mean, yes, it is very pretty,
yeah,
but
but
once you read the story and you're like, "Oh, she's wearing a collar." It literally says chains in the title. You're like, "Oh, okay, maybe I should have read my trigger warnings a little bit more." But it is
I
very pretty.
yeah, it's very pretty. It's very girly. I feel like if I was a little girl and I saw the spine's really pretty too. I feel like if I was a little girl and I saw this book, I would be like, "Oh, it's cute." But, you know, I mean, of course their parents should probably and they're probably not going to understand half of it anyways. I'm just saying. But it is a trigger warning for sure.
Oh, one other thing that a bad review that I saw more than once is people complaining that there wasn't enough spice and that this was too YA.
I
And
saw
it
that too.
and it is a slow burn. It's a first book of a 3-part series. The second book is set to come out sometime next year. I don't think a date has been set, but she plans on releasing it next year.
Mm-hmm.
And I would not consider this YA. Do not give this to
Your
little
teenager.
girls to read, because it is dark. There just happens to, between the two main characters, there happens to be very little spice. They kiss at the very end, and that is it. But that, and there, oh, the other thing,
Flashbacks.
people had a big problem with the virginity stuff. It's very, very, like, they talk, the virginity part is very heavy in the plot. So if you have a problem with that, um, you know, you're gonna have a problem with this book.
I'm just gonna say I'm so glad that they are of age and well 25, I think.
Yeah, like
But
23 or 25.
but the virginity thing is a little taken back, or I'm taken back by it because I mean, god dang. I guess when you're royal, but I have a superstition and I have a theory that I think is gonna happen, and I think at the end of the book, um, I was like, I know what this is.
Okay, I want to hear your theory because I also have a theory.
They said that it was an heir to them, and I was like, well, is anybody checking Cordelia?
Mm.
And she's being moved around, so she may not be. I don't know. I think
Was
Cordelia might be
Cordelia? So Cordelia is her brother's girlfriend. I think maybe fiance.
fiance.
And her brother dies at the beginning of the book in a battle. He, like, something explosion happens. They say he's dead, and her and Cordelia try to flee, and they're both caught and given to separate people. And Cordelia, she never lays eyes on Cordelia, right, during the whole book, because at some point Cordelia freaks out, and they basically drain her of her magic.
Yes.
Okay, so a couple of ways that these characters are being utilized. They are being utilized as what's called heart springs, which basically is a one-way power grab. So you can make yourself a heart spring with someone and then use their power so that you don't drain your own. And but if you overdrain your own power, like, really badly, it can basically disappear forever. Like, you can drain it really low and then it'll go back up. But if you drain it, like, drain it, it will never come back. And so Cordelia is kind of off camera, right? And in a instance where the main character, was not there. She overheard that this had happened weeks before. She had freaked out and attacked someone, and in response, her slave owner drained all her magic and took it all away from her, and now she's magicless. So,
Yeah, that sounds like that sounds
but
accurate.
that was Cordelia, right? That
Yeah, and
happened
Cordelia
too. Okay,
is actually Bryony's best friend.
best friend and her brother's fiance.
Yeah,
So your
that was
theory
cute.
is that maybe she's pregnant with his baby and they're protecting her. Is that your theory?
I kind of well because they're looking for this. Like obviously they don't have the heir that they're looking for, and I feel like because she's being moved around, someone's hiding her,
Mm,
and because
okay.
she has no magic, she's not in any. She has a baby in her, but she's not able to be like
Did
okay.
you
I'm just.
read the epilogue?
I did.
Okay, so you know who's still alive.
Yes.
Okay, great. So, Bryony's
Is that
brother
where
was
you
supposed.
cried?
No, I cried when the strawberry blonde died.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay, can we talk about some of the yearning and the pining and the steamy scenes?
We should.
Because I don't know. I mean, I know they said that someone was like, "Oh my god, this is so YA," but the scene where he spills the whiskey all like makes her get naked basically or down to her underwear, spills the whiskey on her, and then licks it up off of her.
I was like, I love the scene where he was like, okay, then show me.
Oh, that
Okay,
was such a
then
good
show
scene.
me. And she's like, no, you show me what you like. And I'm like, girl, get down on your
Okay,
knees right now. I had to ask
did
you for that picture because I was like, I can't see it. I can't just
did you
look.
understand that scene? Because I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it was very clear to me what was going on, and she was like, "Oh, he just like made that up in his mind," and I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
because
girl, yeah. That's what we all want to think.
she's like, "Oh, he just like randomly did this," but
I
at
think he's
the
a
end,
seer. And he
no,
did see
no, no.
them.
Okay, so she
Or
goes
it's
into his
his.
mind, right?
Yeah.
And he's laying on the bed by himself, and then all of a sudden she's there, and she goes down on him, and then she's gone again. I think she walked in on his fantasy when he was pleasuring himself.
I think that's it. And now I got lots of freaking.
That was his fantasy in his mind that she somehow grabbed onto.
Mm.
That he had like the night before or something.
I mean that's a game changer. Yeah.
It to me it was, and that's why he was so embarrassed. And then the next day he walked up and he was like trying to talk to her about it, or a couple days later he was trying to talk to her about it, and she's like, "It's fine. Like I asked you to show me what you want, and you
So
like
naive.
created something out of thin air." And he just like stares at her and he like blinks really hard. He's like, "Okay." Like he didn't get that he was fantasizing about her, and she had somehow
I think that
watched him pleasure himself to thinking about her.
I think that because they are probably fated to be together, um I think that this being in this proximity is causing them and their magic to ramp up and they're kind of getting
Mm.
entwined. And I think it's really hot. Um, might have to
Yeah,
go
I
reread that
actually
scene.
thought, oh my god, it's such a good scene. I thought that the magic system she created, even though it's simple, I thought it was actually done really well. There was a lot of complaints that it was not believable or too choppy or not like whatever, but I actually thought it was. I thought I liked it.
I
What do
I
you
can see
think?
the I can see the choppy part. The beginning of it was kind of it was a little dicey. But it you catch on. Yeah. I
So
thought it
you
was.
liked it or you didn't like it?
I like the book. I like the book. I like the
Okay.
magic system. I think it's original. I'm excited to see Rory come back.
Yeah. Okay, how about the scene where it was after the one where she saw herself going down on him and she kind of pushes him to tell her what he's been telling everybody else that they've been doing. And she goes, "Do you call out my name like you did last night?" And then he goes on and says this like whole scenario of them hooking up. And I was like, oh, this is hot.
Yeah, so there is spice. So do not think that this is YA. I would not advise it. And also, the whole graping and all that stuff. I would not advise this for kids. It's not YA.
Mm-mm. And then the kiss scene at the very end, when he came back and like basically told her that he regretted it and he was never going to kiss her again, I was like, okay, punch him in the face right now.
So the whole time I'm reading this, I'm like, is this when Kelly cried? Is this when Kelly cried? Is this when Kelly cried?
I'll do one review, but
Oh.
basically, I couldn't really find a lot of funny reviews. It was basically people hated it for one of three reasons. They hated it because it used to be a Harry Potter fanfic. They hated it because of the dark romance and slave stuff. Or they hated it because, what was the third reason I gave?
Virginity.
The virginity stuff. That was the three reasons, and there wasn't very many funny ones. So, but this one there was two that maybe were kind of funny. This is a perfect example of why I can't take this genre seriously. A kingdom has fallen. People have died. Some people are being sold and trafficked, and the main characters can only think about jumping each other's bones. That was the funniest one I could find. There's also, okay, and then there was one other one, and it should be illegal to write a character based on Hermione Granger and somehow make her the dumbest girl to walk planet Earth. Those were the two funniest ones I found.
Well, after rereading my first one, I don't know if I even meant to screenshot that, but this one that I do think is worthy. This was Harry Potter meets Jeffrey Epstein, but that's not even my only issue with it. The book had zero depth, the plot was lacking, the romance seemed forced, world building was bad. Of course, because it was originally a fanfic. I was bored through most of it. If it wasn't because... Oh, and there was some gross sex scenes. And then they talked about the slavery. And then she said it was a very YA.
Yeah, I don't know why people say it's YA. I mean, there wasn't explicit sex, but there's a lot of sexual content.
Yeah, I pictured that penis so detailed. I pictured that I pictured his dick so
She did describe it.
She did good. She did good. You know what? I'm starting to like the male anatomy descriptions because I'm a little tired of folds. Folds and mounds.
The other thing about this was it was kind of a touch her and die trope a little bit. He kept calling, "This is mine. I bought her. You can't touch her. She is mine. Leave her alone." And
when she kissed,
yeah, rubbery lips. Ooh.
That was a good explanation.
It was. I was like, oh god, I can picture that, and that sounds terrible. Yeah, there was a lot of and okay, the touching thing, the non-touching thing, like he doesn't want her to kiss him or touch him or whatever, and she's like really trying to push it to.
I want to touch you.
Come on, let me touch you. Sometimes it was kind of cute. Sometimes it was like, okay, you guys need to like move on or fix this, right? Like get on, move on, something. And
you could fix this whole problem if you just had sex.
If you just had sex, and like his like refusal to take her virginity against her will, and she was like, I'll do it.
I'm ready. Put it in me.
I'm ready.
It's you, Daddy.
And he's like, no, I can't do that to you.
I'm begging you at this point to please.
And
do
she's
that
like
to me.
practically begging him. She's like, dude, why did we go through this whole song and dance? You could have just had sex with me. I'm ready. He's like, no.
I like his touch her and die. I like that. That was good. If you guys like tropes of touch her and die, we have that one. Enemies to lovers. What else do we have?
And a lot of complaint that this wasn't a true enemies to lovers because he had a crush on her. And I was like, okay, but yeah, it's more of like the enemies are his kingdom versus her kingdom. You know, like a Romeo and Juliet sort of situation.
He still wasn't nice to her.
He was not nice to her. He hit her in the face at least once.
I think she was. What did she do after that? Was she just like, okay?
She was kind of in shock because she hadn't been a slave very long, and she goes in front of Mr. Swallow. She says something smart ass, and I think he hit her because if he didn't, then Mistress Mallow probably would have done something worse to her to prove a point. So he was trying to save her by punishing her himself. That was my theory on that. Is if he didn't punish her, Mistress Mallow would have done something worse to her.
Like, get your slave in check.
Get your slave in check, or I'm going to check her for you. So he hit her, and she was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, she's like, oh shit, I'm not in Kansas anymore.
No, we don't condone violence. But that is,
you know, it was in there, I think, to protect her. I think that's why he did it. Honestly, I feel like almost everything he did was to protect her, even if it was kind of a shitty thing to do. Like the whole bringing his ex-girlfriend in her body and making his ex-girlfriend go down on him at dinner. Okay.
Yeah.
And she was like, I've never had him be so excited about my ass. I was like, I mean,
given, like, if it was my longtime crush, he's supposed to mate with me. I'm living in the room next to him. I'm not being a slave. I would be such a freaking little virgin hoe. Like, I would sleepwalk and I would pretend to sleepwalk and just.
What do you think of that scene after she kissed both two people at the mansion, and he comes home and he's like super mad at her, and he's like, how about you stop kissing my friends? And she like throws a shoe across the room. She's like, well then how about you just fucking kiss me?
As I said, this would all be solved. If there was
just
yeah, he needs to stop being a little bitch. Maybe he's not a virgin. Maybe he is.
No, he's not.
I know.
No, she made it very clear that he's not.
He's not. No.
There's this one line where they ask him what she's like in bed, and he says something and then goes, she's delicious. And she is a little bit of a prude, and she's like, what the fuck does that mean? And the other guys around the table are like, are you telling me you go down on her? And he goes, well, when she's good, when she's being a good girl, yes, I do. And then there's this sexual assault drug, right, that they give them to make the women more compliant. Because you can't steal their magic through sex unless it's consensual. So they drug them so that they are in a state where they can't really consent / non-consent.
This is definitely a dark book. My God. I'm keeping it at a 3.
All right. I do a reread someday, and then tell me if you change your mind. Okay, so what would you change about this book?
Ooh,
to give it a higher rating? What do you think it needs? What do you hope to get more out of in the next book, even?
I would change, or I would like them to fuck. All honesty. Like, my God, if you could have just got a quickie in right before she got there, cheese and rice. Man, it would have just been like, oh, now we don't have to worry about anything but hiding her freaking
Virginity in a jar. That was weird.
was. I kind of liked it.
I have a question about the virginity in the jar. So if it's not inside you and then you have sex, does it still exist? Are you still a virgin?
Julie, you have some questions to answer.
Julie, I have some questions. Are you still a virgin if you take it and put it in a jar and then have sex? Can you put the virginity
Is that like your hymen, or whatever, hymen? Is that what?
Does it disappear from the jar after you have sex for the first time? That's what I want to know.
Shows up. Oh, you know what? Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, it's only there to hide it. My God, what would you change?
Nothing. I fucking love this book. Okay, being really nitpicky because I've read this book so many times, there were a couple of places that I think needed to be edited differently, where she kind of said something in one paragraph and then like another paragraph down, she kind of contradicted herself. It only happens a couple of times, and I don't think I would have noticed if I hadn't read it like 15 gazillion times.
I didn't notice any of that.
So there was just like one or two editing things where I was like, where he says, okay, so he says something like, oh, you always come for me. I always make you come in the morning. And then like 2 paragraphs later, he says, if I find you with underwear on, I don't let you come. And I was like, but you just said you always let her come in the morning.
I remember that. And I was like, but you.
I was like, that was a little weird to say that you always make her come in the morning, and then 2 paragraphs later you're like, but if you have underwear on, I'm not going to make you come, which I thought was really hot, but also...
which one is it?
Which one is it? Yeah, and then he's like, and then I take you in the library, and I let you finish the chapter you're on before you come, or before I come, or something, and I was like, huh. And then, what did he say? He said, and I always call you Briny when I come and you love it. And I was like, oh. Because he doesn't ever call her Briny. He always calls her Rosewood.
Sexy.
And he only ever, except when she had that interaction with him in his mind, and he called her out her name when he was about to come, and that was like the first time he'd ever said her name, basically.
Oh my God, it's so detailed.
Yeah,
that's great. He's got a nice dick.
He does.
If you have an imagination.
If you have an imagination. I mean, she describes it, so.
Well, still, I feel bad for the people that can't see what we see.
There was like a point where it kind of felt like the dragon was like in love with her brother, and I was like, is her brother gonna be her mate?
I thought that, like, and it wasn't.
Is there gonna be a dragon human situation here?
Yeah, I mean, Shrek, come on. There's a donkey. But for what a short little section that was, I definitely felt the same thing. I was like, what is happening?
This dragon really
Ooh, what is... Ooh.
We read too many creamy dragon books.
Add one more.